So we're going to cover the listing appointment today. I would say that when I go to a listing appointment, I secure that listing 98% of the time. 98% of the time I get the listing, and I'm primarily a listing agent at this point. So I want to give you some tips and tricks to talk to you about with your client when you're there. How to prepare beforehand, how to prepare for afterwards, and what to do when you're there. So we're going to go over a little bit, a facet of each portion of it. So when someone calls you and says, hey, Hussein, I want you to list my house, or I'm interested in listing my house, and he goes, okay, so what is he supposed to do on that phone call? Okay, number one, you got to sell yourself, right? So you got to ask the probing questions. You guys should have a piece of paper and pen with you at all times. Like I have a notebook that I carry around with me like a little dork, and I write everything down when it happens. So you're gonna ask him, time frame, okay? When are you moving? Do you have pets? Number one, how are we gonna get in and out of this house if you've got a big Rottweiler, right? So super important things to ask. How many people dwell in the residence? Is it during the summer? Are you gonna have issues with kids in and out of the house? So you've gotta talk about those things on the phone call before you even meet with them in person. You're gonna wanna ask them their mortgage payoff. Okay, super important question. It's a very invasive question, especially when you don't know that person, especially if they're randomly calling you, right? So you have to have that conversation. Address, emails, and all owner names. Do not get off the phone without full legal names, without a full address, and without stalking them on HCAD or Fort Bend County Appraisal District or Waller County before you get off the phone. So you want to see that house. You want to see who owns it. And you need to make sure that they're a legitimate seller because there's a lot of scams going on. Someone tried to scam me a couple weeks ago and I busted him. All right, so before you get off the phone too, primarily schedule the appointment, guys. Don't be like, oh, well, I'll get back to you. I'll email you. No, you already lost. You already missed out. And he can tell you right there, I got him to do a training, and guess what? I didn't let him leave the office yesterday until I nailed him down on the training. That is sales 101. Do not leave, get off the phone without a scheduled appointment, and make sure that appointment is within the week. You don't want to go past a week. You need to say, Mrs. Jones or Mr. Jones, let's get it done quickly. I can get over there, take a look at the house, because once you're in front of the person, are they going to tell you no? 98% of the time they don't, okay? As long as you know what you're talking about. All right, so brag a little. When you're on the phone and after you get off the phone, we have this great thing called text messages. Thank you, Apple. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna send them little snippets. Maybe it's your reviews. So I've got, my reviews, my ratings are right there. I've got a 5-star review on horror with over, I think I've got 70 or 80 people. My Google business page has all my reviews with 5-star reviews. Zillow, send them your reviews and say, hey, if you have any questions about my work ethic, just take a look at my reviews. Then I also, Ben does these great videos. He didn't do this one because this is before I knew him, but you can do videos and send a video of yourself so they can see how articulate you are. Now, I don't think you're going to be able to hear the sound in that, but that's a video that I can send as a B-roll so they know, okay, this girl is smart, she's articulate, she's well-spoken, she's listing high-end houses, and check it out, she even has a videographer. So you need to tell them, hey, I can videographer your place. We can have professional pictures taken. All right, so that was just that was a house that I did 6 properties I sold last year. Okay, so after you brag a little, when you get off the phone, and you've made your appointment, remember, make the appointment, you're gonna start researching the property for them. All right, I need to see if this is worth my time, A. As newer agents, you guys all are mainly newer within 5 years experience. Some of you have more. You're still new agents. So as someone who does listings all the time, maybe I wanna share this listing with someone. Maybe it's out of my realm. Maybe it's $1 million listing and I need help. So let's do some research on the property. So always go into your appraisal districts. HCAD Fort Bend, Waller County Appraisal District. If you don't know what an appraisal district is, you need to do some continuing education, okay? You need to make sure that the square footage matches what's on HAR versus what the seller is telling you. You need to research it thoroughly. You need to know the school district, okay? Because if you're in a crappy school district area, that's going to be a selling challenge. People want to be in Katy ISD. They want to be in the Woodlands. They don't want to be in Inner Loop, Houston. If they do, you need to be able to combat HISD and say, okay, you've got, we have phenomenal schools through the Goddard School or, the Christian-based schools, okay? So make sure you know that. Then running comps, super imperative that immediately after you get off the phone, you do these things within 24 hours. You run comps, you analyze the days on market, you analyze the median, guys, median sold price per square foot. Does anybody know the difference between median and average? I hope you do. Okay. All right. Average is just an average of all the properties. Median is going to take out the high and the low outliers. Okay. So it's the middle portion of what's selling. The best resource we have is the old listing in HAR, right? Have you ever gone back and looked at the HAR and the 360 history and you can see how much they owe or when's the last time they refinanced? So super important for you guys to do all this. And I print all this stuff out and I have it in a little binder. And I know this sounds old school, but I'm a sales girl through and through. I still have a paper binder. And you guys are gonna laugh that every single file that I have open right now is in this binder. And I know this sounds weird, but these are all my clients. This is all my clients, okay? So I know at any given time what's going on with them and I can pull it immediately, all right? Okay, before the meeting, go ahead and prepare your residential listing agreement. Now, some of you are going, all right, compliance is a really touchy subject right now because Gloria's being really rough on you guys. And we've told her to be rough so that we don't get sued as a brokerage and you don't get sued as agents. So I want you guys to be very vigilant and very overanalyze every single document that you do from now on. Make sure everything's checked. The boxes are checked. If there's a blank, put NA. Okay, don't leave it just blank. Put N-A or N/A. So do that residential listing agreement. Now, people are like, okay, well, they scoff a little bit about commissions. They might talk to me a little about commissions and I don't know what to say. We're gonna cover that, but this is where you're gonna talk about that with them. So add the value added items and special provisions. They always say don't add anything to special provisions. This isn't the TREC contract. This isn't the 1-to-4. This is your personal contract between you and that seller, all right? So in special provisions, I always put agent to pay for professional pictures. If you're not paying for your professional pictures, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your seller a disservice, you're doing HAR a disservice, and you're doing your colleagues a disservice, okay? You should not be an agent if you're not paying for professional pictures. Hands down, you gotta spend money to make money. If you're making a $6,000 to $20,000 commission, $150 out of your pocket is not anything, right? Okay, would we all agree? Let's shake, okay, good, okay. Agent to pay for all marketing material, obviously. There's places you can get it for free. List reports is a free service. We're looking into another couple free services for our agents at NextGen right now, so stand by for that. Agent to pay and provide online marketing. So I used to have a CRM called KB Core. Some of you guys have it, some of you don't. And in KB Core, I recommend if you're gonna pay for stuff like that, pay for the blast of an open house. Facebook has been pretty crappy in terms of getting leads. So lead-based systems on social media are not great, okay? So don't waste your money, guys. But the seller does need to know that you are going to pay for those things. We run into issues a lot with this statement right here because some sellers want their stuff blasted and some people don't. So how do you sell houses? You sell them on social media, right? You sell them through Google. You sell them through the online database. So I always put this in there, seller to allow agent to market on all social media platforms, your Google business page, NextGen business page, because not only we're asking permission for us to market it. We're asking for all of our agents to market it. So if you put this in there, they can't come back and say, hey, I didn't want, every agent in your office promoting my product. Well, do you want to sell your house or not, right? So put this in there in special provisions. All right, before the meeting, you're gonna print out, you're gonna have a nice little folder. NextGen has these really beautiful little folders that you guys all have access to. If you don't have access to one of them, make your own. I used to make my own and put my old brokerage logo on just a nice little folder that I had that you can buy on Amazon. You want to print out your listing agreement, your wire fraud form, your IABS. Print out the seller's disclosure and take it with you. Print out the mud disclosure if there's a if it's in a mud district, and you'll find that on where? Where do you know if there's a mud or not? HCAD, Fort Bend County Appraisal, Waller County, on the appraisal district. You're going to know that. Okay, good. Print out the addendum for a property in an HOA. Okay, so print out the things that need to be printed out so they can sign them right in front of you. All right, so this is the mud water district. To find out how to get that, you just click that. Present all those forms when you're there. Now, when and if you get to the property, I typically take a small video of the house as I'm walking through. You obviously want to ask your sellers that. You want to ask them to take pictures. You don't want to be intrusive and them get freaked out because you're videoing their place. But when you pull up to that house, I want you to get out of your car. First thing I want you to do is go into the middle of the street. I want you to look at the house from a visual perspective and go, okay, roof needs replaced. I can see wear and tear on it. Is it going to be hard for the buyer to get a new roof or insurance because the roof needs replaced? Start being a detective. This is where you're the detective, and this is where you have to have hard conversations with people that you don't know very well, okay? So if the house needs pressure washed, pressure wash it. If the sidewalk needs pressure wash it. If the plants look like crap in the front, help the sellers pay to replace it. Have people ready to go for your sellers to do that. All right, when you're walking through the house, you're going to do your little pleasantries in the beginning. Oh, I love your house, even if it's got weird, creepy dolls everywhere, even if the walls are pink. Okay, yeah, you've done some interesting choices with your decor. Now you got to drop the hammer and say, that being said, nobody likes porcelain dolls. Sorry, hate to tell you, nobody wants to see the collection of your 300 porcelain dolls lined around the room. And this is a true story. This happened to me. I had to tell this sweet old lady that the porcelain dolls were creepy and that I felt like I was going to be killed. So I had to tell her, oh, I used to have those dolls when I was little and they're so beautiful. Not true. It's okay to lie a little bit, not much. And then just tell her, but it might, I said, some kids might be scared of those dolls. And so what we need to do is pack up at least 90% of them. Okay? Okay. And I did, and I went over there and I helped her pack up 90% of the creepy dolls. Okay? So there's certain conversations that you have to have. It's just how you spin it. Like, I just listed a house that was like an Easter egg. Every single room looked like a Mexican restaurant. And I was like, okay. So I said, wow, you guys have some crazy selections. I love it. I said, but buyers aren't going to be able to see the beauty in the house and the natural light because the light is being sucked out because the R factor on this paint is so dark. Okay? So there's a paint factor if you look at a Sherwin-Williams paint swatch, and certain lights or certain colors are going to suck light out of the room. So you want to talk about light, bright, modern, airy, all those things that people perceive with a clean house. You have to say to the seller, hey, I love that black room, but it's going to deter somebody from buying. Okay? Have to have those conversations. Religious symbols. People get really weirded out when you ask them to take down their Jesus cross or whatever it is that they have up. It's okay to have a little bit of stuff, but if you've got a whole wall over here of nothing but crosses, it's probably going to need to be taken down. okay? And you just have to you say you don't want to offend anybody because religious, people are woke about their religion now, if that's the word I'm learning from you millennials. All right, so declutter, caulk, change lighting, light bulbs. Take pictures of each room for your reference so that you have reference when you're taking notes, all right? Ask the age. Sit down with them before you leave. Obviously, you're going to have a conversation with them at their table. Take notes. What's the age of the HVAC, your roof? How many condensers do you have? When's the last time did you change the water heater out? You're going to be a detective. You're going to ask them, are there any leaking or anything that you know of in the house that needs to be fixed before we go on market? Because we're going to take 2 weeks to a month to get your house ready, okay? So ask them all those questions. Then you're going to sit down with them at the table. You're going to review the comps. You're going to talk about the selling challenges. Are you in a bad neighborhood? Is the neighborhood, taking a dip? Are there a bunch of foreclosures right now in the neighborhood? When you're driving through the neighborhood, you need to look for functional obsolescence. I don't know if you guys remember what that is from your training from school. Anybody remember that? Functional obsolescence is when everything around you is going to crap and you have the one bright shining diamond in the whole neighborhood. Yeah, it's my parents. They kept polishing the turd. I kept telling them, I'm like, y'all, move. They're like, no, our house has been paid off for 20 years. We're millionaires now. I'm like, okay, move. Because functional obsolescence happened. All right, so take a picture of your notes and leave the notes there with the sellers. Leave them there. You take a picture, so you write it all down. You take a picture and say, here, Mr. Jones, here is your honey-do list, okay? And then he goes, but I don't know who to use for all that. Well, I do, don't worry. Then you get your trusted contractor, your handyman, you put them on a text message when you're sitting right there at the table and say, Miguel, my handyman's name is Miguel, and I say, Miguel, this is Mr. Jones, nice to meet each other. I send him the list, the picture, boom. Miguel is then scheduled right then and there before I leave the house. So guess who just got the listing? Me. Because I took the time to come over and do all this stuff. Now, a lot of people will say, how do you broach the subject of getting them to sign documents right there? Listen, I just did all this stuff. These people ain't going to go anywhere else now, I promise you, especially when they're using it. So you can get them to sign it, or you don't have to have them sign it. You can send it via DocuSign or .loop or zip forms, however you send it. But leave the documents there with them so they can review, because people like hard copies of things. It's confusing for older people to look through a computer, right? So you're going to have to be honest and frank regarding those updates, okay? So it was funny that they had a staging company come today. It was kind of divine intervention, obviously. But staging's going to bring that buyer in. If they see pictures of a house that's staged, they're more apt to come into the property. And there's ways, if your seller cannot afford to do staging, you can virtually stage. And I'll talk to you guys about that in a minute. It makes the property feel warm and inviting. It makes them feel like they're there, and it's comforting, and it's warm cookies and kids running around, all those good warm fuzzy feelings. It gives an idea of what they can do. Now, offer to virtually stage at no charge if the property is vacant. So this is virtually staged. I did this myself with my own two little hands, with my own little program that I have, all right? This is the before, guys. That's the before. Now, my Miguel came out, and I said, this is what we're gonna do, Miguel. We're gonna paint this whole house agreeable gray. We're gonna take down the dated curtains. He did that in a week, and this is what I got. Okay? That is literally the same house. All right, let's do this again. Same house, nasty orange versus agreeable gray with some virtual staging. So I always use this product called Visual Stager. You can teach yourself how to do this, guys. And I guarantee you, it's a product that is easy, it's user-friendly. You just have to take the time to learn to do it yourself. Okay, and it's all restoration hardware, furniture, high fashion home, CB2. It's all modern, expensive furniture. And you can barely tell that's virtually staged, right? Okay, if you do not do professional pictures, do not virtually stage. It looks terrible, all right? And you've got to tell whoever your photographer is, you have to say, hey, I am going to virtually stage this thing, so make sure you take the pictures at the right angle, and photographers will know what to do. All right, so my photographer is, I use K2 Imagery to do mine. Same house, that's the living room before, okay, and after. Huge difference. Huge difference. I had over 20 people come to view this house. It was in Spring Branch, priced appropriately, not too high, it was perfect. And I had over 20 people within the first 2 days roll through this house, multiple offer situation, not in a heavy market. Okay, so it's $10 a picture to virtually stage if you do it yourself. And so what I typically do, it actually gets cheaper on this virtual staging website. The more you buy, the cheaper it is per picture. So I think I usually do like $300 at a time because I virtually stage every single one of my properties. All right, so check that out. Before, after. So do you think this was a hard conversation for me to have with the seller? It was an older lady. She was very proud of her house. She was in her late 50s, early 60s. Very proud of her house. She loved that faux painting. She liked that orangey, whatever the hell that is. And I was like, oh, honey. I said, God, the floors are beautiful. I cannot believe you've been able to take care of your floors for so long. I said, it would make them look even better and pop more as if we painted this agreeable gray. And she goes, really? I said, absolutely. These floors are stunning. This paint is not doing them justice. So how about we do a little fresh take, modern look? And she was like, let's do it. So you have to make it their idea. It's just like manipulating men. If you make it their idea, they do it, okay? Because a lot of times, if it's a husband and wife, the wife's easy to convince to do updates because she's like, girl, I want to get out of this house anyway because I don't like it. And the man is like, I don't want to spend the money, right? And so you got to get in with the wife. The wife is important. All right, so quantification. Let's talk about quantifying. So I've been in sales since I was 22 years old. My first job out of college, out of Texas A&M, was I was a veterinary pharmaceutical rep. And so after that, Pfizer hired me away, and then I sold Viagra. Yes, I did. Don't judge me. Sold Viagra and Zyrtec and the Z-Packs. I'm sure all of you guys have been sick. So I was trained by the #1 pharmaceutical company in the world at the time in the 90s, all right? What they talk about when you're talking is you want to quantify everything. You want to quantify the listing. You want to quantify what's so great about that property. So I just spent all this money doing these updates, and I see this all the time in listings, and it drives me crazy. So you've got this beautiful listing, and it's like, newly remodeled, light, bright, and airy, come buy me, yay. I'm like, shoot me in the head, you gave me nothing. What did you do to the property? How much money did you spend on updating? Quantify it, okay? So what you're gonna wanna do is put all the addendum, all the disclosures, the survey, the T47, the upgrades, the amenities, and warranty info on the website immediately, on HAR. Put it in there before you list it. This way it's done, and Gloria's not gonna be on your ass about compliance, right? Yeah, right, okay? You've got the survey in there and T47, everything's done, okay? So make sure the sellers provide before you list though. Please do not put it on HAR without all the disclosures uploaded. It makes you look like a bad, lazy agent, especially to other agents. High-producing agents don't want to mess with calling a list agent and going, can I get the seller's disclosures? Can I get the HOA? Can I get the MUD addendum? They don't want to do that, guys. We're busy. Everybody's busy. So do your job as a list agent. If you're going to start doing it, do it right and do it well. And then you'll be known as a good list agent. Like when you look up my reviews and such, it's all about thoroughness, timeliness, all these things that are in quantification. When you do the updates, what I do is I do a Microsoft Word document, or you can do a Canva document that puts every single update with the date in which it was done. You don't have to go May of 2023. You can put 2023, okay? If you've just updated the flooring, if the water heater's only a couple years old, et cetera, put it in there. The water heater's 10 years old, don't put that, right? That's not updated. Don't put new unless it's actually new, guys. Recent, within a couple years, that's recent. New is that year. Remember, through all the guidelines and stuff that you learned in your real estate classes. All right, so quantify. So here's two pictures, all right? This is gonna be the basic things you need to quantify. I need ages of everything. I need brands. Branding is huge. What has Julia taught you guys about branding yourselves, okay? So when you're branding something in a listing, especially if you've got a property that has, Viking appliances, put that it has Viking stainless appliances with the model number. Put that in there. Add picture descriptions too. We have these great little pictures, and good agents are gonna put exactly what's in that room. So can anybody sell me this room right now? Anybody want to do that? Anybody want to sell this room? Nobody's got the cojones to sell me this room. That room or this room? You want to sell me this picture right now?
Sure.
Go.
I would say the kitchen is designed with complementary colors with the black stainless appliances and white cabinets.
That's stuff I can see though. I can see that. I can already see that in the picture. Tell me, quantify it for me.
It has all Samsung appliances, recently replaced in 2022.
There we go. Okay, good. Tell me about the backsplash.
It has subway backsplash.
What size?
Subway tile, 2 inches.
Okay, so now you're getting it. So we would need to quantify things, all right? So, good job. Tell me your name. Lauren. Okay, thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it's black stainless appliances. Go into each individual thing. If it's quartz, is it quartzite? Is it quartz? Is it 2 centimeter? Is it 3 centimeter? Is the tile on the flooring, or the tile on the backsplash, is it European tile? Is it a specific glass mosaic? Is that flooring real wood? Is it, like, when you're talking about especially flooring and things like that, there's people that are flooring snobs, especially the higher end people. So tell me, is the plank size is a huge thing with higher end homes. The larger the plank size, the better. Tell me the plank size. If the tile is 12 by 24, tell me that. I don't want to see 12 by 12 planks. People want to see 12 by 24, 24 by 48. Tell me those things, all right? If there's recessed lighting, tell me those things. All right, so here's an example. So this is quantification. So it's the who, what, when, where, why, how. Everybody was in elementary school. You all had to do those silly little who, what, when, where, why, how, instructional papers, right? So you got to tell me where it's located, who it is. It's in Spring Rock, nestled in the heart of Spring Rock. Property boasts 3 beds, 2.5 baths, 2,417 square feet, open concept. Recent updates include. Go ahead and put those recent updates within the first paragraph. If not, you're gonna lose the buyer online. They wanna know the pertinent information right off the bat, and then they skim the rest of the crap, right? So put the updates in the front. Okay, this one didn't have a ton of updates, but water heater, 2018, roof, 19, serviced HVAC, May 2023, new wood laminate flooring upstairs. So that's quantifying, guys. That's what's called quantification. This is the same room, obviously. This is virtually staged. So when you're virtually staging, you don't want to put too much furniture in it to make it look cluttered. And note that it fits the space. Okay, so just another example of virtual staging. Now, would a buyer rather have Gucci or generic? So when Lauren was about to go generic on me until I said quantify. All right, so you have to get in that mindset of Gucci. Does a person want to wear nice clothes, or do they want the Walmart brand that no one talks about the branding, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that, because I do it too. All right, so downstairs bath features Carrera marble counters, soft close mid-continental shaker cabinets, Acerobella fixtures, wood look, and subway shower tiles, and brushed nickel hardware. That sounds better than enjoy cooking in your gourmet kitchen with stainless appliances. Don't tell me what I can see. Don't tell me that it's light, bright, and airy in the house. I can see that myself. Tell me what I don't know, all right? Where the ceiling fans were just replaced. Little things like that, guys. All right, so let's talk commission. So you're sitting at the table. Mrs. Jones, she looks at you and she's like, wow, I really like what you have, but you know, I don't know about that 6% commission. Why are you going to charge me that much? Do you want all my money? Why are you doing this to me? What do you guys say?
Yes.
What do you say? Anybody want to volunteer to have this conversation? Anyone? No. Scared? Chicken? Lauren's already done. Anybody else?
0.5%.
Say it again.
You're worth more than 0.5%.
Okay. All right.
You're worth more than 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So agent B is offering 2, agent C is offering 1.5. Okay, that's great. I'm offering 3%. That's what I'm offering. And you know why? I would say because I'm a bad bitch, but I wouldn't say that to a client. I would say, in a nice way, you get what you pay for. When's the last time that you bought a pair of shoes, Mrs. Jones, and you paid $10 for them, and they lasted 10 days? All right, so you have to think about it in those terms. Don't discount yourself. Now, you're not going to win every single listing if it comes down to price. You didn't want that buyer or you didn't want that seller anyway. Same conversation you can have with the buyer. Now, I do have, culturally speaking, there are some cultures that are going to just straight up say, they want to haggle, they want to fight you. And so if the commission is brought up at the table, just say, you know what, Ms. Jones, I'm going to table this conversation with you about commission. I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to shoot you an email. Let me think about it overnight and see what I can do. And then you really go in, and you can either tell her no, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. Or you can say, in a polite way, you basically just asked me for my paycheck that supports my family. That gets them right there. That gets them really hard. It does. And I've even told people I didn't go to your workplace and ask you for your paycheck, because that's essentially what they're doing. They're asking you for your paycheck. Okay? Right? Nobody has a right to your paycheck. So you need to think about that moving forward. All right. So I have said it for certain cultures. I say it right to their face at the table, right then and there. Yes. I say, Mr. And I've had it with a doctor. Doctors are the cheapest. So you know. And I called on doctors for 12 years with pharmaceuticals and medical sales, so I know this for a fact. Yeah, they're pretty brutal about it. So you can have that conversation. If you have the cojones to do it. But tell them, you're comparing apples to oranges. I'm giving you X, Y, and Z. Do you have a question?
I was just going to bring up 2 points. So, like, one of the things I like to talk about is that they're offering 1.5 or 2%. What are they offering? Are they offering professional photographs? Are they offering open houses every weekend? Are they offering a brokerage with 150 agents that are going to share your listing? Or are they going to show up with an iPhone and just
take pictures,
take photos and not even out the light and put them up? So what are you
Absolutely. What are you paying for? Yeah, make them have that hard conversation. So if you're purchasing a home on the buyer's side for an investor, and if they want a discount, then you offer to list the lease listing online for free for one time only. So I do that. So if I have a buyer who's doing an investment property, they're going to lease it. I'll lease it for free for the first time. And I'll have one of the agents on my team handle the lease for me. Okay? So showcase what you're offering. So good point. So there you go into professional pictures. This is what I'm offering. Look at this. That's a lot. Don't discount yourself. That's your bag of tricks right there, guys. Okay? All right? Follow up immediately after your appointment. The second I get home that evening, I do my follow-up. I contact them. I send an email. I thank them for their time. I resend the comps to them. I resend all the listing disclosures, everything in PDF format for them. And if they want to sign it via DocuSign, we can do that later. Reiterate the list of items needing to be done. So take that picture that you took of your honey-do list, put it in an email. So they've got it in their hands, they've got it in their email, they have it in multiple places because people lose stuff. Give them your contractor's information in the email and potentially CC your contractor in the email, which is what I do. Send the listing agreement via DocuSign after all said and done. I usually don't do that until we go right before we list. Right before we list is when I do that. Because that also, you've done all this work for them and they're not going to switch agents at that point. I promise you. Now, some have, some will. Is it going to happen normally on a normal basis? 98% of the time it's not. Promise. Okay? All right. Also, the other things you need to talk to them about is, showing smart or showing time. You need to broach those subjects in that follow-up email. Your listing date, when you're going to target list date. So all those little things, those nuances, you need to go ahead and address again in the email and the follow-up email. Okay? All right. Questions? I went through that pretty fast. Yes, ma'am. Give that.
Okay, so for T47.
T47.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to ask this because I have a new listing, so I'm going to find out how I can get it. So does it come, it's a 2021 build, and am I supposed to send her T47, or is it supposed to be in like her bill, like her purchase contract? How do I get that? Because I saw it on.
So that's questions about the T47 in the survey.
Yeah.
So for new construction, okay, when was the new construction built?
2021.
And she wants to list it now in 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's going to have a copy of her survey.
Okay.
She will, if it was in fact financed, which 99% of the time it is financed. If they don't have a copy of the survey, offer to contact the title company in which they closed. The title company always has a survey, guys. They're going to have it forever and ever. All you have to do is say, hey, go back and look and see who you closed with. The T47 then I send that directly to them. I fill it all out for them except for the signed portion of it.
I used your example.
You used my example. Good. Okay.
So the notary,
Any notary. Any notary.
okay.
Yep.
Always tell them the bank has a free notary. It's not your
Bank. Yep.
Your client does, not
Yeah.
yours. They have to sign it in front of them and they notarize it. So you don't do that.
Yep.
You
USPS stores. Yeah.
get it signed and then
Yeah.
take a picture, send it back to you, give you the copy. or
Okay.
scan it and send it back.
Any other questions about T47 survey? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Question.
Question about that T47.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
When you're doing a listing agreement, and you know how the sellers always think their house is worth more.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
You say the right way, like, and they always want to say, well, can we start with this, and then we can lower it, there will be agreeable, but, when you first list it, it's when everybody comes and you lose all the people by the time you do drop it.
Okay. So
So how do you tell them?
how do you tell them no?
Yes,
You have to be able to tell them no.
okay, just say no.
Yeah. Just say no. Remember all the say no to drugs things that we watched over the years? Say no. So honestly, there's two ways to do it. You can say, okay, Mrs. Jones, I hear your concern. Okay, so I do want you to take a look again at the median price per square foot. We've got, you tell Mrs. Jones, we've got a month before we're about to list. So comps can change drastically in a month. Look at what happened with COVID. Okay, who knew that was gonna happen? So I would say to Mrs. Jones, let's check out comps. Let's have this discussion again in a month. Right now, the median price per square foot is $152 per square foot. Okay, so that's where I feel comfortable. If we do these updates, we can list it at $160 per square foot. If we don't do these updates, you're looking at listing at $145 a square foot. Okay, then tell Mrs. Jones, all right, I'm going to give you 2 weeks on the market at the price you want. 2 weeks only. And I typically do 10 days, but you can say 2 weeks. If for some reason you don't get an offer because it's priced too high, which you probably won't, I'm telling you right now, then we drastically lower it to the price that I suggested in the beginning and or lower because you've already shot yourself in the foot. And I just had this discussion with some people's houses I'm going to list in Katy just now.
What happens when you get multiple offers on that number?
If you get multiple offers on it, then ding dong, you're wrong. That's great. That's a good thing, right? So, yeah. Any more question? Another question? Yes. Yes, Hussein.
Isn't it better to terminate it and then relist it?
No. Do not terminate and relist, especially if it's only been the question was, is it better to terminate in that situation or relist? Don't terminate it, especially if it's such a small time on market. Okay? Mic is off.
Yeah, I think it's uncharged.
We're good. I just changed it to the Mac.
Okay. Say it again. Question?
Lauren has a question.
I have a question. Oh, shoot.
All right, so all right. Lauren, no, you're good? You got to go real quick?
Okay, and the information as far as like those details for the flooring and the cabinets, all of that information, if the seller doesn't have it, how do we find it?
Well, a lot of that stuff, I mean, appliances, guys, appliances are going to have the information right there. So you're going to see that. If you open the cabinetry, you see it right there. You need to learn the difference between ceramic and the different types of tiles and porcelain tile. You have to learn the differences of that. Yeah. Okay, you had a question in the back? Okay, hold on, guys. Let's be respectful of everybody's time. Question? Stand up.
So what would you do if the seller is out of town, but you got referred to them? They got referred to you?
Say it again. If the seller's out of town.
Yeah, if the seller's out of town, but they're wanting to list their home.
Okay.
How would you go about that? Let's say they want to, they're old fashioned, they want you to be at the property, meet them, and all the paperwork. What would you do in that situation?
So the sellers are out of town, so they're investors.
No. They're just out of town because they went on a trip, but they want to start speaking with agents or start speaking with you because they got referred to you, and they're wanting to list their home as soon as they get back.
Okay. What's the question?
Set the appointment.
Okay, yeah, set the appointment for when they get back, yeah. Now, if they have a way for you to go in and take a look at the property, say, yeah, I can go take a look at the property right away, and then when you get back in town, we'll sit down at the house.
Well, would you send them anything beforehand, before they even get here, just to start reviewing?
That depends. Has this ever happened to you? This never happened to me. That's kind of an odd, yeah, it's never happened. I've been doing this 20 years, so yeah. Okay, any other questions? Yes?
How do you feel about family photos? Like,
Family photos. That's a good hot button. How do we feel about family photos? How many of you say to take all family photos down? Raise your hand. How many say you can leave family photos up? How many say it's a middle range?
I'll do 1 or 2 pictures.
Middle range, yeah. So people that have, if you guys have photos of yourself in every room of your house, you're a narcissist. You probably need to seek mental health. Yeah. All right. So you want to limit family photos. You don't want photos on every single surface. A, it looks cluttered. B, you want to, in your own personal home, I do a lot of design work. I don't know if any of you have stalked my Instagram, but in your own personal home, you should have one wall, a family wall. That's it. Just one. Okay? You don't need a ton of photos of your family. You see them every day. Why do you need to see 40,000 pictures of your kid when his grubby little face is right there? Okay? Dumb. All right. Any other questions? Good question. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
So when you virtually stage a photo, do you also put up the photo of it unstaged?
Okay, so what I'll do, like in this instance, let me see if I have one there. So like for this one, see how I had, that's one perspective of the house looking one way and the other way. So that one I'll keep unstaged. This one I have staged so that I can do a mix. Don't do this picture again unstaged, okay? And this is a good thing that I love to tell people. Stop putting the picture of the ugly front of the house as your first page on your listing. Every house in Houston is ugly. It's just ugly, guys. We don't live in fun California where it's all stucco and pretty, okay? We've got nasty brick houses here that are ugly, right? So put a picture that's virtually staged, or if you've got an amazing kitchen, put that picture of the kitchen as the first picture and rotate them. Rotate those pictures out once a week. Do a different picture in a week, just so if someone's scrolling back through, they're like, oh, look at that bathroom. And they go back and they go, oh, I should have opened those pictures before a week ago because this is my house, okay? Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, question.
I have a situation right now, so maybe you can help me.
Okay, we have, hold on, this is a good situation scenario. Okay,
So
let's
I had a seller reach out to me about selling her house, and she's doing some updates. So I had an appointment with her set for next week, Tuesday. And she emailed me back this morning saying that, because she still wanted to get like the comps on what her price point is. So I sent her some, and I said, this is just ballpark. Once I see the house, I'll get a better idea. She emailed me this morning, and she said that she decided to put a for sale sign and see if she can sell it for sale by owner, and that she would reach out if she needed my help. So part of me is like,
Did you ever make the appointment with her?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was set for Tuesday next week.
Okay,
Because she's still painting and moving stuff, she's like, I don't want you to come now because it's a shit show. But Tuesday, I'll have, the walls painted, and then we can walk the property.
walk the property. Go in, walk the property, tell her what you can do.
That's the thing, because she's saying
She completely canceled.
Now she
she
wants
said
to sell
she's
it
gonna do it
herself.
for sale by owner.
I'll be your buyer, take me by.
Interesting. So that will happen. It rarely happens to me. I don't think that's ever happened to me. In that instance, did you ever go to her house beforehand? Did you, when you got on the first phone call?
We had the talk, not yesterday, the day before yesterday. And, I got all the information, she gave me all the scenario, everything that we're doing. We set up an appointment because she has the contractors there. She said Tuesday will be clear to go, you can walk the property. She said, can you give me a price point? I said, I can start looking. While I was on the phone, I was looking
Okay.
at the comps and everything. And I told her, I said, yes.
Still go. Say, hey, I want to come by and take a look at what you've done to the property in case I have buyers. Still go. You need to implant yourself into the mind of that seller that if shit doesn't go right, and it's not going to, that you're the first person she call. Go to the house. Just say, I would like to come and take a look at our scheduled time on Tuesday at whatever, and take a look at the property.
Ashley said she'll be your pretend buyer.
I'll be your buyer.
I'll take turns.
Lizette has a question.
I'll say, so, why is it not on the market? That's sketchy.
All right, hold on. We've got a couple more questions. Lizette
I
has.
just wanted to share that I had a similar situation where a seller said, well, the houses are selling so quick that I'm thinking of just putting it up for sale myself. But she was in the process of remodeling and redoing the kitchen. I said, well, do you mind if I make you a few suggestions? I know what buyers want. I'm working with a lot of buyers. I know what color of paints they're liking right now. So I still went to see the house. I set up an appointment. I gave her ideas. I did some printouts and gave it to her. She called me 2 days ago that it's a lot of trouble that she might end up listing it with me. So
Yep.
that's a good.
Yep, that's a good success story. Like, that's why I say before you get off that phone, you need to be in front of that agent within a week or in front of that seller. Any other questions? Questions? We good? All right. Thank you guys. Round of applause for you guys. Thank you.